Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell, we will be talking about I'm going to call it a massive storm because it is, or enormous storm. I'm going to emphasize the size of it because it's going to be big and I don't want to create panic. It's not going to be a historic system. You'll be fine. It's just that it is a very, very big one, probably the biggest one of the year so far. And obviously I will be providing you details about the rain, about the snow, about the sleet, freezing rain, whatever it may bring. However, with this storm, there are going to be many more that follow, and while you may think that's a concern, massive systems, right, kind of an ominous title, I'm gonna show you why it's actually a very, very good thing, and honestly why I think most people should be looking forward towards these systems. Obviously, the minor inconveniences of travel and whatnot will be there, but in the long term, I think what they can do is much bigger and outshines those tiny little inconveniences. So I will be showing you that, talking about that, and emphasizing or explaining kind of my rationale behind why I think so. But before we do that, I do want to quickly remind you guys, if you do enjoy watching these type of videos and enjoying this type of weather content, check out my other videos, check out my channel, see if you do enjoy it. Obviously, don't subscribe just right off the bat. Same thing with liking the video. If you do enjoy it, consider liking it, and if you have any comments or concerns, please leave them down below. I do my best to answer as many as I can. No matter how many I get, I could get 1,000 and I'll answer them usually. Well, maybe if I don't get 10,000, I probably won't at that point, but I don't think that's a real threat. Okay, without further ado, let's start talking about these systems. So, first off, I was saying why these things could bring a lot of advantage into the long term, or even honestly the short term, which outshines the travel inconveniences, the miserable weather for some that don't like snow or rain, which obviously is quite a few. The thing is that these systems will be finally bringing rain and snow to areas like Nevada, Utah, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. I'm sure that if you've been paying attention to any of the climate kind of news or the weather, you've definitely heard a lot of stuff going on about that drought, and it is very bad. It's as bad as people say it is. It's not, you should see some of the levels and the evidence and the explanation. Really, I mean, some of the pictures just of the reservoirs are just so low. And there will be a lot of precip coming towards those areas, a lot. And obviously that could cause some flooding and concerns, but I do think that will be coming in a reasonable amount of pace where it won't be, like that one superstorm we saw in October causing a ton of damage, which it did bring a lot of water, but, probably in a worst way. It's better to take it slow and easy. Mother Nature doesn't care, I guess, in that way, though. So let me show you what will happen. So let me just run through this. I'm just going to not stop it at any particular storm. This first one that occurs right here, that's the one I'm talking about that's massive. And you can see it's massive, but look across the west. Boom, there's a system that occurred, right? There is another one that occurs, and this is at this point December 10th. We have a large one that brings snow into the southwest, boom, a blizzard potentially, and another one moving in towards the west. You can see each one of them being moderate and not really bringing a ton of precipitation with them, but enough to be substantial. And look, right there in the long range, we have yet another system moving in. So yes, that was rather quick, and if you didn't catch your area or pay attention to any storm, that's fine. That was the point of it. I just wanted to give you an idea of how many different, look at all those brilliant colors of pink, red, orange, dark green, dark blue. Almost every color that is pretty much on this key is showing itself, and that's pretty indicative that we are well in an active pattern during the winter time. Let me take a look at the total accumulated precipitation first, just to show you from this active pattern. Now obviously this will change. For example, this model, particular one of the GFS, shows not a lot for Texas. Whether or not that's the case, we'll have to see. All it takes is one big storm, right, to shift some of this rain potentially from maybe Arkansas or wherever. It doesn't have to come from place. It may even just not be showing this system at all currently, and that could bring a lot of rain. For now, you can see it's favoring obviously the east, the Midwest, the South, and into portions of the West. I mean, yes, these aren't ridiculous amounts. This won't cure the drought, but if you want to see improvements, this is what you want to see. this is generous rains of, or I would say widespread, over half an inch to an inch, inch and a half. And in those higher mountain ranges, right where you see those purples, that's over 2, 3, 4, and obviously even over 6 inches right there across British Columbia in the northwest. Now, British Columbia has been getting bombarded most of the fall, and they'll continue to do that. Obviously, that brings concerns. They have some flooding issues already, and that is not good. However, the Southwest is not in that same story, so they could easily take this amount right here, especially since it's not all falling from one storm, and they'll be fine. You won't probably see flooding. There may be, some threats, but the wildfire, for example, threat will be pretty much kind of washed away. Total accumulated precipitation, I showed you that. Let's take a look at the total snowfall. Right, obviously, you can see it's pretty ridiculous across portions of these areas across the north. Again, this is assuming the storms take this exact track this model showed them to. Newsflash, that's probably going to change, whether that's good or bad for your area. Maybe one Stone, Kentucky. This one doesn't show it. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's favoring the north because that's where it's colder during December especially. But I want to point out, look at all this snow. I mean, that excites me. This is super exciting. Obviously, it might be a bit too much. I mean, when you have a widespread area of over 100 inches in Cascades, Oregon. But these areas have had a pretty bad drought. And what I'm more excited about is looking at the Sierra, right? And even towards Southern California, there's some decent amounts of snow. Obviously, nothing record-breaking. Not enough to, end a drought. Same thing with Nevada, but it is a good start. Look at that mountain range in southern Colorado. They need snow here, especially in these areas to fill up reservoirs like Lake Mead, which are extremely low. Orville had a little bit of a push up after that big system. They've kind of ran dry ever since then, so this is really encouraging to see, and that's why I am honestly excited about this pattern, not because of cool winter storms, yes, that too, I can't deny that, but also because of this is going to be a positive impact. The snow pack is one thing, and then the rain is another thing that's going to help for next year and potentially years after with the growing season and whatnot, which again is as demanding as ever. So look at also southeastern Canada. That may be a bit tricky for some Canadians too, which I do have Canadians. I do have Canadian viewers. I keep on emphasizing that. The weather doesn't stop at the border. Look at all that snow. Obviously, this is, again, just one model, but that is up to 40 inches of snow for Quebec, potentially Ottawa. As you get towards, Toronto, there are some lighter amounts. Again, lighter with parentheses, or, sorry, air quotes, because that still shows over 6-7 inches, which, in the next 15 days is definitely not a light kind of a forecast. It's definitely moderate, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see. This, I do think that we will have a very active December. Again, look at the Dakotas, 5, 7, 8 inches. Nothing extraordinary, but that's good. They are in a bad drought. Same thing with Wyoming. This is just good. If we could continue this all winter, that would be phenomenal. Will we? Probably not. Hopefully, though. Yeah, and obviously, we don't want 1,000 inches of snow, right? With reason, Mother Nature, or even if she wanted to, probably couldn't produce 1,000, which obviously would be bad. So that's why I'm pretty confident saying that hopefully we could see that pattern continuing, at least a semi-active one. And again, it may be deceiving. We may be seeing a active December and then nothing afterwards. It's happened before. So let's take a look at that first winter storm and focus on it in particular. This isn't some far-fetched system, by the way. That's 15 days out. It's a few days out, and I know I didn't record a video yesterday. I do apologize. I was extremely tired. It's nearing finals and studying and whatnot has been rather extensive, but I kind of making up for that today with a video that hopefully is as good as I could have made it. Kind of missed making a video yesterday. So look at this. Montana, right, the northern panhandle of Idaho, start breaking out with snow, or start seeing snow as early as what is this, Saturday. So this is Thursday, so just in 2 days or less, 6 a.m. we start seeing snow. Look how rapidly it develops. Again, this is just one model, so there are some differences between which models you look at, but at this point it's most likely just a few hours of difference or a few inches of difference. It's generally most agreed on. It's just the tiny details that aren't as agreed on. So again, this one won't be bringing snow to the southwest or the areas that really need it, though Montana hasn't seen much either, and they definitely could take that snowfall. And look at this. We start seeing that snow across the Dakotas, into the north woods of Minnesota, and into Wyoming. We do start seeing a bit of moisture starting to pick up across portions of Oklahoma and Texas as early as Saturday evening and into Sunday. So as you start your weekend, as you end your weekend on Sunday, I guess you could say you're ending your weekend on Sunday, even though that's technically also halfway through the weekend. That's why weekends are always tough, you know. It barely starts and then it's done. But notice that, look, we do see snow across Wyoming. Again, nothing extraordinary from this model, but that is a bit of snow. Where we do start seeing quite a bit of that is northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, the UP of Michigan. If you're looking at this and saying, oh, will this track change slightly? Possibly, yes. However, if you live, say, in, you know, Rhineland or Wisconsin, if you live in Green Bay especially, maybe a bit of kind of a transition area, but anywhere north of Green Bay, expect shovelable snow, potentially very heavy snow. The Twin Cities, you're right on that border. I would say 1, 2, 3 right now. You know, 3 if it's a heavier event. You're 1 if, you know, anything at all. If that goes just a bit towards the north, you're seeing pretty much nothing. Or maybe just a bit of wraparound. But as it taps into that moisture, you could see Chicago, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio. They all see rain, right? So it's gonna be a rain event. But look at that into the UP, northern Michigan, into Sault Ste. Marie, southern Canada. That is a lot of snow, folks. A lot of snow that is falling very heavily. It is an extremely wide band of snow. It's prolonged, and it starts intensifying as it gets further and further along. And now at this point, this is Monday during the day, we do start seeing snow into cities like Green Bay, into southern Wisconsin, northern Michigan. That's the wraparound. It will be lighter, but it will be a lot fluffier. It will be cold. You can see there's a cold shot of air, and look at that cold front. It stretches all the way into the south. There could be some severe weather / heavy rain into Kentucky on late Monday. Late Sunday into Monday. Definitely something to watch for. You know, people say, oh, it's a winter storm. Forget about the severe weather. It's actually, when you have such a potent system, a beast, if you will, severe weather has an easy time developing. Obviously, you know, you won't have EF5 tornadoes in winter, though I do think maybe it's happened before. It's always a threat, and, you know, you don't need tornadoes for severe weather. People always think that severe weather is synonymous with tornadoes, which I guess, you know, it is to an extent, but you can't forget about lightning, wind, and hail, which are equally as, well, I shouldn't say equally as dangerous, but are dangerous and pose a hazard, to say the least, and could be a lot more widespread. You know, you could have a hail across many areas, you know, almost as wide as a few kind of villages or counties, versus a tornado, you know, really just, I mean, it's rather small, even if it's, you know, the massive one. Okay, regardless, let's get on with this, with that theory of meteorology that I'm trying to come up with while I'm recording this video. You can tell I haven't recorded a video yesterday. I'm too excited to talk. All right, as I put this forward into motion, you can see that southern Canada, you know, Toronto, Montreal, Quebec, right? You saw that you could get a lot of snow in the next few days, or sorry, next 15 days. This one may not bring that much snow. It will be mainly a rainmaker. It will start off as snow, especially for cities like Quebec. It will quickly transition into rain, and then a bit of snow on the backside. Even for inland portions of New England, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine. A bit of snow, nothing extraordinary, but a 3 to 5 inch swath, especially for the higher elevations, is possible. And this thing's also a wind machine, so you could see some of those lakes to produce some lake effect. If you haven't realized, by the time this system's occurring, Monday into Tuesday, we have a beast moving into the northwest. And yes, it's dropping a lot of precipitation, lots of snow, and, you know, for places like Idaho, Montana, where you just came out of that snow from this scenario, from this storm, I should say. 2 days later, you're dealing with snow again. This one does bring some snow into the Sierras, Nevada, and into Utah, but it does get shredded up a bit by those mountains, and it doesn't quite formulate anything, at least right away. You could see a sense of swath of snow across the Twin Cities. Wisconsin could drop, you know, a few inches of snow. It will be pretty fluffy and light as it's occurring in colder conditions, and there isn't a threat of changeover. Now, notice we do have a bit of precipitation from the southern flank of that system, kind of the remnants. Try to merge with this. Again, some models show a system out of this, a very big one. Some don't. We'll have to wait and see what results of this. And it's worth reminding you guys that I'm just using one model right here, and I'm confident using it for that first storm because the other models that I'll show you show a relatively similar scenario. But for systems like this one, that's a bit further out, it depends on the model. Some show a lot more snow out of this, like the Canadian develops it into a monster for portions of southern Canada, while this one doesn't really do that, and it shows a bit of rain, but nothing too extraordinary. But it shows a bit of snow, I should say, and a bit of rain, but again, nothing extreme. But look, as we put this forward, you can see, or we see another wave from the Pacific using that precip right there. Maybe another storm again. The GFS kind of excludes it. We'll have to see. Some models show a system out of that, right? So the GFS is active, but imagine if these two systems came to fruition. That would be even more active, and obviously a lot more impacts. But look, right here, we have a lot of precip, and and it intensifies as it approaches the mountains. It doesn't really get shredded up by the mountains as much, and by the time it's in Utah, look at all that snow. That is just glorious. I mean, if you're a skier, ski resort, or if you just want the drought to be over to a certain extent, put a dent in it, you should be very happy by that map. I don't even live in California, but whenever I see that, it puts a smile on my face. Right? I mean, you need those type of systems that drop a reasonable amount of precip, several of them obviously, if not many, to kind of lighten the impacts of this horrendous drought, which it is pretty bad. And if if you're denying that, then yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with you then. All right, Arizona, New Mexico, right? Rain, snow for the higher elevations, and then this thing takes its sweet old time. But look, by the time it's still in the mountains, it's already producing snow across Colorado. Nebraska, the plains. It's a Colorado low, almost, and not really, because it kind of develops out ahead of it. It's just probably more of a hooker. It's not really the best word to use for this. A panhandle hook. That word I used to use, but I quickly realized as I grew older why that really wasn't as appropriate. All right, but notice that what I mean by that is that it kind of hooks up towards the north, and obviously this scenario has a lot of rain, a lot of snow, and boom, it creates some sort of a blizzard. Obviously, I'm not focusing too much on it because it's just so far out. But then again, we do have more activity kind of later on. Let me show you the Canadian, and you may be wondering, okay, what's the difference between a Canadian GFS? Well, it's just a different model, and it's always good to look at different perspectives from different models. It's kind of like different news sources. I always compare that. All right, make that comparison. So again, there's our first system. Boom, it explodes. Look at that. The Dakota seeing rain. It does produce a bit more snow according to this model for, say, the Twin Cities, for, say, Green Bay. Right? It's a bit further towards the south. So again, under this scenario, the Twin Cities would get shovelable and plowable snow. And again, this is occurring this weekend, so it's not far out. And you can see that the disagreement is rather profound, even at such a short kind of time frame. But I mean, relatively, at least they're showing a system in a similar area. And then this one does intensify it a bit more. A lot more snow for the southern Canadian cities of, say, Quebec, maybe Ottawa, Montreal, picking up a bit more snow. It will eventually transition over to rain, but you could see it's stronger. A lot more precipitation and severe weather potentially for the south. A lot more wraparound that turns into snow. And of course, it's a wind machine. That is a monster. I mean, that's a monster storm. And obviously, that doesn't mean that's ominous and whatnot, but it's a monster system. It drops a lot of rain, drops a lot of snow, and the lake effect turns on. Look at that. We have that same system the GFS showed, if you recall, remember. And look, we have snow again. And look at this. If you recall, the GFS did not develop the system. It tried to, but it failed. Look what the Canadian does. Boom. Not only do we have a massive freezing rain potentially event across the Mid-Atlantic, which is a potential, the Mid-Atlantic and into portions of the Southeast, we also have a raging, potentially nor'easter. Not for the coastal cities, unfortunately, according to this model. I say unfortunately because most people that want to, or most people that watch this video and are in kind of New York, they want a snowstorm. I would too, right? But you can see, at least it's for the inland portions as southern Canada, and it's a massive one. Obviously, if you recall, the GFS didn't show this one, right? So, you could look at this and dream all you want, but it's only a possibility, but that's what makes the weather fun. You never know what you could get. And otherwise, if the forecast was definitive and you knew what was coming, I probably would never get interested in the weather. So notice the west, again, we have a system moving in. The southwest, boom, snow, rain, everything good, and it does develop another system out of it, definitely a potent one, a wind machine, and that's pretty much as far as it goes. So arguably, with the time that it goes out to, the Canadian, it shows more activity than the active GFS. So really, folks, I mean, if you're trying to advertise for a calm pattern here, or you have and I don't know if anyone is at this point, I'm just saying that if you are, you're pretty much fighting an uphill battle, because every model shows that. This is the precip from the Canadian. You can see very good. The mountains picking up, the southeast picking up decent amounts of snow. I like the snowfall graphic of the Canadian a bit more. It just seems a bit more reasonable. And you can see that, obviously, with this, there would be a bit more snow towards the south compared to the GFS. Decent amounts of mountain snow, less than the GFS because it only goes out to 240. So that's, I think, 10 days versus 15 or 16 from the GFS. And you can see it shows a lot more snow for, say, the Twin Cities. I mean, 15 inches potentially for Minnesota, or central Minnesota, versus the GFS keeps that more towards the north. Now, I do want to show you one more model. I know there's a lot of models, and there's many more I could show you, even after this one. But I just like looking at these three ones. ones the most for convenience of a shorter video. Look, there's our system. There it develops. You can see the European not as profound with that system across the upper plains. Definitely some snow, and it will be sticking because of how cold it will be. Develops more of a cold front a bit earlier on. They say the GFS, right? So you could assume it's going to be a stronger system as it approaches the southeast corridor in terms of Canada, northeast corridor in terms of the northeast. But again, this is such a massive system. I guess the corridor would just be this whole region, so I guess that wasn't really a good wording. But notice, see that echoing right there, kind of that blowing cold front. Definitely some winds, severe weather. Definitely not the best thing you'd want to see, but yes, definitely that's a lot of snow for the UP. Even with that backwind right there, potentially some blizzard conditions across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and it does go way further towards the north than the other one, so it just ends up bringing a lot of rain. But it is an absolute monster in terms of its snowfall potential for Quebec and Ontario, and I do have viewers that live even further north than southern Canada. For some people, that's always a surprise. And yeah, a lot of rain. So thankfully, it will be quick moving. So you'll get rain, and then you'll be out of there. So if you need rain, you'll be happy with that. Shouldn't cause flooding. Definitely though, look at that monster. I mean, 957 millibars. Oh, goodness, if that was further down on the coast, that would be, yeah, that would not be good, honestly. Even if you'd want that, I don't know. It just wouldn't be good. And then we do have that system. If you recall, all three models, including this one, show that system right after that one. And you can see that if you remember, I know I'm talking fast. If you remember, the GFS failed to produce it or anything out of it. The Canadian developed a large system out of it, right? And then let's see what the European does. I honestly forgot because I didn't even look at this one before recording the video. I looked at the midnight one. Well, let's see. Look, it shows a lot of precip, a lot of snow. Looks pretty promising. Yeah, and look, boom, even more further south than the Canadian for cities like Pittsburgh, potentially Albany, right? Obviously, New York City right on the line, unfortunately. Classic. It always seems that even if it's close to New York City, it's just not close enough. Boston may see a bit. The coastal areas of Maine, New Hampshire getting hammered, and then it moves on. And we do see more activity towards the west. Again, it only goes out to 240, so like the Canadian. And for its time frame, it shows quite a bit. Again, that system that, if you recall, the GFS tried to show, the European does as well, doesn't really do anything out of it for the U.S. A bit for more southern Canada, still nothing extraordinary. And then, boom, look, it starts developing a monster right here. I shouldn't say monster, but definitely a powerful, potent storm. And that does move into the northeast/southeastern Canada. Total accumulated precipitation, including snow, rain, everything. You could see it favors the east, not so much according for the European for the southwest, which is a bit concerning. However, I do have good information because this model has 51 members, right? And I took a look at all 51 earlier today. And a lot of them did show an active pattern, so it seems to be an outlier in terms of that scenario. And yeah, you could see a lot of snow for more southern areas, and again, you could see each one showed different things, right? Say the Canadian showed 1.5 feet for Minneapolis. This one doesn't. Again, it's hard to make specifics, but it does seem that overall an active pattern is coming. Well, overall, it seems. No, it's coming, and it starts off this weekend. So stay safe, guys. I know this is a long video, but unfortunately, sometimes I just make long videos. We do have some high-res models. So ones that go out to 84 starting to come in, or go out to 84 hours, and you can see that they do show quite a bit of snow for the northern plains, right? So it's in agreement with the other models that I showed you, and there may be even some winter storm warnings issued if something like this were to come true across, Minnesota, North Dakota. Look at the Canadian version. It shows a lot more further towards the south. Again, folks, we'll have to wait and see, unfortunately, right? I can't give you an answer right away. But yeah, that's what makes it fun. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next episode.